So today we're doing the algebra review, systems of equation using substitution. Your quiz is Friday. For this quiz, it's only this one concept, only substitution. Your test will, again, like I said, have elimination on it, but your quiz is just going to be substitution. So here are the rules on how to solve using substitution. The first thing you have to do is solve one of the equations for one variable, whether it's an x or a y or something else. The next thing you have to do is plug it in to the other equation, not the same one you solved for. It has to be the second one, okay? So it has to be the different one you're plugging it in for. Then you are solving for that variable. I know it sounds like a lot of solving, but once I get to the examples, you'll see what I mean. Once you get that variable, plug it back in. So you have to have an x and you have to have a y. You're writing them as ordered pairs. Special cases. If your variables cancel out and what's left is true, for example, 4 equals 4. Is that true? Does 4 equal 4? Yes, your answer is going to be all real numbers. If your variables cancel out and what's left is false, like 5 equals -3, is that true? No, so your answer would be no solution. So those are your special cases. Everything else has to be some sort of ordered pairs. So looking at the first example, we're going to go ahead and solve this. So again, if you're not here, please get here. Looking at this, the first thing I'm going to do is solve for a variable. Doesn't matter which one you can choose. This is more personal preference. You can either choose the first one and solve for y or the second one and solve for x. It's a lot easier to solve for one that doesn't have a number in front, okay, for just the variable by itself. So I'm just going to choose the first one. I'm just going to solve for y for my first one. So if you're here, go ahead and solve for y. I'm going to go ahead and write it out. 2x plus y equals 9, and I'm solving for y. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 2x from both sides of my equal sign. Remember, you're doing it to both sides. You're going to get y equals 9 minus 2x, or you could put -2x plus 9. It's the same thing. So then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this and I'm plugging it in to my second equation. I'm not plugging it back into the same one. I'm plugging it into the different one. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have x plus 4 times 9 minus 2x equals 1. I'm going to go ahead and distribute. I'm going to solve for x. X plus 36 minus 8x equals 1. Combine my like terms. I'm going to have -7x plus 36 equals 1. I'm going to subtract 36 from both sides of my equal sign. I'm going to have -7x equals -36, and then divide both sides by -7. If you divide it correctly, x equals 5. So I solve for x. Now I have to go ahead and solve for y. When I'm solving for y, I'm going to plug it into this one right here because I have y equals. So I'm going to take this. Technically, I'm just taking my 5 and I'm plugging it in for x. So I'm going to have y equals 9 minus 2 times 5. And then I'm solving for y. Y equals 9 minus 10. Add 10, or nope, just kidding. I don't have to add it to both sides. I'm just going to solve this, and y is going to equal -1. So my answer is my ordered pairs, which is 5, -1. Yes?
Isn't 1 minus 36 -35?
Oh, I put, yeah. I did the work correctly, but it should be -35. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, if you still divide correctly, it's still going to give you 5. All right, questions on the first one. Do we remember how to do this? Yeah. Are we like, okay, it's coming back. I remember learning this last year. Hopefully you guys had a good Algebra 1 teacher. And this should be more like a refresher. Do we have any questions on this one? So you're plugging in a lot of stuff, so try not to get confused. Try and make your work organized. Again, if you want to use highlighters to help, use highlighters. Different colors would definitely help. All right, looking at example number 2. This one gives me an x by itself, so that's the one I'm going to solve for. So looking at this one, I'm going to go ahead and solve it. I have x minus 2y equals 4. I'm trying to get my x by itself, so I'm going to add 2y to both sides of my equal sign. I'm going to get x equals 4 plus 2y. I'm then going to take whatever my x equals, and I'm plugging it in for x. So I'm going to have 2 times 4 plus 2y minus 5y equals 4. And then I'm solving for y. So distribute. I'm going to get 8 plus 4y minus 5y equals 4. Combine my like terms. 8 minus y equals 4. Subtract 8 from both sides. You guys always leave your variable last. Oops, not negative 8, negative 4. Divide by negative 1. And y is going to equal 4. So now I have to go ahead and solve for x. So I'm going to take the 4, and I'm plugging it into my y, because I'm trying to find my x now. So I'm going to have x equals 4 plus 2 times 4. And then solving it, x equals 4 plus 8. Add these two, x equals 12. My answer is going to be 12, 4 as an ordered pair. Questions on example number 2? All right, example number 3 already gives me y equals. So I don't have to solve for anything because it's already giving me my y. So for this one, I'm just going to go ahead and take this information and I'm plugging it into my second equation. So for this one, I'm going to have 8x minus 2 times 4x minus 5 equals 20. And then I'm going to go ahead and distribute and solve it. I have 8x minus 8x minus or plus 10 equals 20. Is anything going to cancel out? My 8x's, those are going to cancel out. And then I have 10 equals 20. Is that true? No, 10 does not equal 20, so what should my answer be? No solution. Okay, 10 does not equal 20, so my answer is no solution here. Okay, this was false. All right, questions on number 3. All right, let's go ahead and go to number 4. Example number 4, it says solve by substitution. Do we want to work with fractions? No, we do not. So I am going to change this to using whole numbers. How am I going to do that? I have to find the least common multiple of my denominators. Looking at this first one, what's my least common multiple of 2 and 3? 6. So I'm multiplying everything by 6. Okay, and how am I multiplying by fractions? I'm going to change it to 6 over 1. Okay, I'm changing my whole number to a fraction. So now I'm going to have 6r over 2 plus 6s over 3 equals 6. Can I simplify these fractions? I could simplify them now to whole numbers, right? So I can go ahead and simplify this one to 3r plus 2s equals 6. And I'm going to do the same thing for the bottom one. So again, what is my least common multiple of 4 and 3? Good, I'm going to use 12. And again, I'm going to change it to 12 over 1. So now I have 12r over 4 plus 24s over 3 equals 12. And I can simplify those fractions. I'm going to simplify them to 3r plus 8s equals 12. So now that I have my whole numbers, I'm going to use these. This is what I'm going to use to substitute and plug in. So I'm going to kind of solve it at the bottom. I know there's not much space for this one, so you're going to kind of have to squeeze it in. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this first one and I'm going to solve for r. I'm going to solve for r. So I'm going to take 3r plus 2s equals 6, and I'm solving for r. So I'm going to subtract 2s from both sides of my equal sign. I'm going to get 3r equals negative 2s plus 6, and divide by 3 on both sides. R equals negative 2 over 3s plus 2. So I'm going to take it now, then I'm going to plug it into my second equation. So looking at it, I'm plugging this into the r. I have 3 times negative 2 over 3s plus 2 plus 8s equals 12. Distributing. What's 3 times negative 2 over 3? 6, good. Negative 6 over 3. Can I simplify negative 6 over 3? To 2. Good. So I'm going to have a negative 2s plus 6 plus 8s equals 12. Combine my like terms. I'm then going to have the 6 left over plus 6s equals 12. Subtract 6 from both sides of my equal sign. 6s equals 6. Divide both sides by 6. And then s is going to equal 1. So right now I have my s. I don't have my r. So I'm going to go ahead and take this s. And I'm going to plug it into this equation because I have r equals. Remember, I just rewrote the first one. I rewrote it. That's all I did. So if you want to write it next to it, that's fine. But you need to understand that these are the same thing. So I'm just rewriting it. I'm going to plug that s in. I know this one's a long one. So I'm plugging it in. I'm going to have r equals negative 2 over 3 times that 1. Okay, so I'm taking this and I plugged it in right here, plus 2. I'm going to get r equals negative 2 over 3 plus 2. Can I add these? What do I have to do when I'm adding fractions? What do I have to have? Good, same denominator. So I'm going to change it. R equals negative 2 over 3 plus, how do I get the same denominator? Good, multiply top and bottom by 3. I'm going to get 6 over 3. Now can I solve it? Yes, I can. R is going to equal what over 3? Good, 4 over 3. So this one was pretty lengthy. So which letter comes first, R or S? Think of the alphabet. R comes first. So my answer is going to be 4 over 3, comma 1. And I'm done.
So do we not write it as a mixed number?
You can. That's fine. You could write it as a mixed number. Yeah, you can totally write it as 1 1/3. That's fine. All right, this one is dealing with fractions. Do we have any questions on this one? Okay, you have to remember rules of fractions. When you're adding and subtracting, they have to have a common denominator. Multiplying, multiply straight across. Changing a whole number to a fraction, just put it over 1. When you're dividing, keep, change, flip. Okay, just some rules of fractions that we should know. Questions on example number 4. We have one more and then we're done. Questions, comments, concerns. We're good with 4? Okay, let's go ahead and go to 5. All right, looking at 5 solving. I would go ahead and take the bottom one. Why? Because x is already on one side. How would I get rid of this 10? How do I get rid of this 10? Good, I'm going to divide both sides by 10 because it's 10x, that's multiplication. I'm going to do the opposite, which is division. So I'm dividing all sides by 10. I'm going to have x equals 4 over 10, which could be simplified to 2 over 5y minus 1. And because I have x, I'm going to go ahead and take it and plug it into my x. So now I'm going to have 5 times 2 over 5y minus 1 minus 2y equals negative 5. And then going ahead and solving for y. So distributing, I'm going to get 10 over 5, which could be simplified to what? 10 over 5 can be simplified to 2. So I'm going to go ahead and write 2y minus 5 minus 2y equals negative 5. Combining like terms, what's going to happen to my like terms? They're going to cancel out. So right now I have left over negative 5 equals negative 5. Is that true or false? That's true, so what should my answer be? What should my answer be for this one? All real numbers. All real numbers. Okay, do not leave your answer as negative 5 equals negative 5. It should be all real numbers. Questions, comments, concerns are in substitution. Again, hopefully this was a review because this is Algebra 1 review. Questions? All right, you guys have a classwork assignment on Canvas. If you did the homework, some of the questions are similar to the classwork. Just copy paste them on a separate Notability page. And don't forget your quiz is Friday.